moving on to The Last of Us on HBO, which has been renewed for a second season, which is fantastic. The Last of Us Part 2 is, I like it more than the first one, so I'm excited to see that story adapted for TV, and I feel like it'll do better and won't be as divisive on TV as it was in game, even though that game's good. So what have you thought, Tia, on the show? Have you seen it out yet?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm one of those people that can only watch one thing at a time.
Okay, well, without spoiling it, what do you think, Tia?
I won't spoil it. I have seen the first episode because that was all that was out when I first watched it. And I thought it was good. I mean, I did get spoiled when I was going into it because my friend who I was watching it with told me, "Oh, I can't spoil it. So I can't even tell you, Ira."
Oh, dang.
But I did it. The first episode surprised me who was the main character and who wasn't, because I never played the game. I just knew that the game was so popular that they made a show out of it, and I was like, "Wow, this is very intriguing," and I was interested in who the new main character was.
Did they spoil you about something from the end of the first game?
No, just that episode, because the episode made it seem like this one girl was going to be the main character.
Okay.
But it was really,
I know what you're talking about. So only 2 games have ever made me cry, and it was the beginning of the Last of Us Part 1 at the part that you're talking about. And the second game that made me cry was the end of The Last of Us Part 2. The only games that make me cry were the Last of Us video games because they are sad. These games are sad. But yeah, that prologue gets me every time. Every single time. But yeah, it's a real good show. Episode 3 really solidified this show as the best live action video game adaptation of all time. Episode 3 is so good. Like, I can say this without spoiling it, but it's about gay love. I'll just leave it at that. It's real good. It heavily expands on characters that were in the original game, one of which you didn't really get to see and one you spent a lot of time with. And it's so good. So Neil Druckmann, in one of the behind the scenes videos that they do after the credits, said that my philosophy on this show has always been, when should we deviate and when should we come back? If it's kind of the same or worse, we stay where the game is. If it's better, we deviate. And that is just every creator of a live action adaptation of anything. That is how they should be thinking. Neil Druckmann directed the second episode, but he also is the creator, writer, executive producer, and the creative director of the games. So he's like, he's like the foremost
he knows his stuff,
expert on this series. And that's how every video game adaptation should be. But to do that, you need the person who you're working with, the people that you're working with. They have to be fans, but also they have to recognize, they have to be big enough fans to where they think that what they're adapting is the best thing ever as it is. So they're less likely to feel like any change that they make is better than the original. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can't think that any change they make is obviously going to be better than the original because the original sucks. Like, they have to genuinely like the original and recognize that there are things in the original that if they change, people won't like it and it won't be considered better. So you just have to copy that verbatim and make changes only when it's necessary. Or rather than making changes, you expand things and add more context.
Right.
And that's what The Last of Us is doing. And that's what I want to see from other video game adaptations. And I think most video game adaptations would do better off being a show, whether it's animated or live action, because I think a lot of them would do better being animated. But most of them would do better being a show than movie. Did you say something to you?
I was just listening.
But yeah, it's real good. My number one video game I want to see adapted into live action is Metal Gear Solid. And yeah, I want them to handle it like this. It would be real good. And I definitely want it to be a show. In sadder news, Annie Wershing, who played Tess in the video games, passed away from cancer at the age of 45. Yeah, rest in peace to her. She was an amazing actress.